flight attendant said in a snippy tone. "Your uncle is finally here." Brianna was about to ask, "What uncle?" But then she remembered where she was and why she had fallen asleep in the Philadelphia airport. Brianna Jenson was to stay with her estranged uncle for 2 whole months while her mother trained for a new job. Even now, with her suitcase packed and her uncle here to collect her from the airport, Brianna still had a hard time believing that it was actually really happening. It had all started when her mother, a talented engineer, had been laid off at a failing plant in their hometown of Richland, Texas. She'd looked for a new job for almost half a year before stumbling upon an opportunity to work in management at a new energy plant. Mrs. Jenson had broken the news of the opportunity to her daughter over a bacon, onion, and pepperoni pizza from their favorite pizza place, Gino's. "I'll be working as a manager at the plant, Brie," her mother had said around a mouthful of pizza. "Building up wind farms. You know, those rows of windmills." "But that's not what you do," Brianna pointed out. Truthfully, she knew very little about what her mom did, but she knew her mom didn't work with something as cool as wind. "You're right," her mom agreed, "which is why I have to train for it. The program lasts about 2 months. "That's not so bad," Brianna said, picking up another slice. "Well, no, but," her mom continued hesitantly, "unfortunately, the management training program is in Nevada, and I can't take you with me, honey. It'll be long hours, and the training facility is too far for a school bus to come get you, and you still need to go to school." Brianna tried to wrap her head around what her mother was saying. Mom's going to be gone for 2 whole months. But that wasn't the worst of it. Instead of being able to stay with her friends in Richland, 2 months was far too long to impose on her friends' families. Brianna had no choice but to stay with her uncle, Shane, in a tiny town called Drury Gables, Pennsylvania. Uncle Shane, her mother had reminded her, was Brianna's uncle on her dad's side. Brianna couldn't remember much, but they had lived near Uncle Shane when Brianna was very young, before her dad had died and before they had moved from Drury Gables to Texas for a new start. For days following the revelation of the master plan, as her mother had started calling it, Brianna thought of how to get out of it. She didn't remember Drury Gables or her life there at all, so how could she be sure she'd like it now? Even if he was family, Uncle Shane was a stranger to her. And how could she live with a stranger? But when Brianna saw how excited her mother had become about her training program and the promise of providing a better life for the two of them, Brianna chose to keep her mouth shut. Being miserable for 2 months was a small price to pay for her mother's happiness and the chance to stay in Richland forever. So, here she was, at the Philadelphia airport, rolling her suitcase packed with 2 months' worth of clothes, lugging her backpack with 2 months' worth of comic books, going to live with a stranger in a town she'd left when she was no more than 3 years old. "Just 2 months," Brianna repeated in her mind. It was starting to sound like her mantra. Finally, they reached baggage claim, where they met an older man by the door to the short-term parking area. While Uncle Shane proved who he said he was to the flight attendant, Brianna stood off to the side, inspecting him. He was medium height, taller than her mom, but shorter than her gym teacher. He had a short brown beard and short brown hair, and wore oil-stained jeans, work boots, and a flannel shirt. Uncle Shane caught her staring, and he peered down at her with a frown, rubbing his bristly beard. "Is that all?" he asked. Brianna blinked. "What?" Uncle Shane gestured to the suitcase at her side. "Is that all your luggage, kid?" "Oh." Brianna glanced down at her bag. Yeah." "Truck's this way," he grunted, as he grabbed her suitcase and carried it through the sliding doors into the parking garage. Brianna hurried to catch up, missing her chance to tell him that the suitcase could roll.